Joey, my spouse, was given a cancer diagnosis. According to the doctor, there was still hope if we took prompt action, but the cost of the procedure would be high. I immediately gave my mom a call to see if she could provide us with financial support. She acknowledged it over the phone, but she secretly sent Joey a message claiming that I was the one who was ill. I could see why she did it. She didn't think Joey would support me, and I was upset with her. Dead serious. If Joey's willing to do for you what you're trying to do for him, I'll give you the money, she replied when I challenged her. Before I could reply, Joey sent me a message on my phone, let's get a divorce. I gazed at the screen in shock. I'd always taken care of him, and it was only because I forced him to get a checkup that the cancer was discovered in time. He didn't want to go, but he just showed up there and left everything else to me. It felt like life had smacked me across the face. He might not have had a chance at treatment if it weren't for me. I assumed that if I loved someone like this, we would grow old together, but it turns out that I married a heartless man. His mother, Mary, began sending me texts one after another while I was trying to think of what to reply. She choked me with her words, you better get home. We need to talk. I've been telling you to take care of your health. Look, cancer. You brought this on yourself. My father-in-law, Brad, cleared his throat and said, come over here, and the whole family was gathered at the dining table waiting for me like some strange intervention when I arrived home exhausted and dejected. We should call a family meeting. Mary interrupted him impatiently. What meeting? This is how your family treats me, I replied icily, standing there drowning under the weight of it all. Just sign the papers. Get divorced. My son is still young. He shouldn't have to carry this burden for the rest of his life. With a dramatic sigh, he pretended to be the actual victim. Don't get offended, he urged quietly, let's just talk it out, okay? I gave a sour laugh. But what about? My immediate impulse was to rush home and plead with my mother when I learned that he had cancer. For assistance, he served me divorce papers since he believed I was dying. What the devil was there left to discuss? Joey must have seen my expression because he added, you know, I watched this documentary. The focus was on families battling cancer. They made every effort and used every penny they had, but still lost everything in the end. I looked at him and asked, what are you trying to say? He paused, obviously trying to seem philosophical or poetic, and then he added, I just think giving the people left behind a little hope. That must have some value. All of us are merely attempting to live. I drew in my breath. I had witnessed every one of his darkest sides throughout the years. But even now, when he believed I was dying, he could turn it into a speech on the pleasure of letting go that was abstract. Naturally, he didn't. I then questioned, did it ever even cross your mind to try to help me get treatment? You don't even know what the cost is. But I did. We'll need at least $100,000, the doctor added. I had already asked my mother for it when I got home, and this was my prize. Joey was unsure of what to say. Mary interrupted to fill the void. What use does knowing the price serve? Medical facilities are all frauds regardless. As soon as you enter, they blindly rob you after running a million tests. I can take you to see someone if you don't want a divorce. So listen. A healer of the soul. She is quite strong. Brad also added a comment. Yes. For years, you have been a member of this family. You've stayed around even though you didn't do anything. We won't just evict you. There are two options for you. Choose an alternate treatment instead of going to the hospital, or get a divorce. I got what they were saying absolutely. I wasn't important to them. Simply put, they had no desire to spend any money on me. They would rather that I sit at home taking medicines from a dubious herbalist, claiming that it was a form of treatment, but in reality, they were merely hoping that I would pass away peacefully. Their idea of kindness was that. I gently sank into a chair and said, the doctor stated it was detected early. We can start with targeted medication. If necessary, we can have surgery. If it worsens, there's still a chance for an organ transplant. You have time. You have options. Just then, Joey interrupted. But do you even understand how organ rejection works? I was speechless. His expression was solemn. What are you talking about? We're not even close to that point. I just wanted to let you know that transplant recipients don't typically live extended lives. They go back to where they were before spending a fortune to buy a few more years. To be honest, I think those folks are self-centered. Self-centered. He referred to those who were fighting for their lives as such. And I came to see that he never thought I was worth saving. A quick breath escaped my lips. Joey had always been a quick-thinking, action-oriented person. He had, however, rushed directly to the worst-case scenario and bypassed all potential therapeutic options in this particular moment. After everything, I said to him, are you going to call me selfish? He gave a nod. Indeed, that is precisely what it is. Self-centered. I would not even inform you if I were the one who became ill, that's all I know. After finding a peaceful spot, I would take a bottle of sleeping pills and vanish. I wouldn't put anyone through it. Being the head of the household entails that. He wasn't a fool, I realized as I stood there staring at him like a valiant martyr. He had a sense of calculation. He was doing it with precision. He simply decided to apply his intelligence to cruelty. I chuckled sourly. Well, what are you asking me to do? Almost pulsing with excitement, Joey took a folder from behind his back and gave it to me. My heart froze at that very instant. It made no difference what was inside. I knew beforehand. During my journey home, they had been sitting in that study, formulating a plan as if I were an enemy, determining what to ask for and what to refuse. I pulled it open. As it turned out, Brad and Mary had created the treatment plan. I was only allowed to utilize the drugs that were covered by basic insurance under Clause 1. Expensive choices are prohibited. In the second clause, Joey's family could stop treatment at any time. They would inherit everything I possessed if I passed away. Nothing for my folks. Third clause. Joey could divorce me, take all of our assets, and leave me to pay off any debt if I took out a covert loan for treatment. I was incredulous. They didn't want to assist me. Their goal was to drain me. I looked at them. This is how you treat me. After all these years spent with your family. Joey shrugged. Love reciprocates. I would have written a letter and taken the medications by now if I had cancer. However, you lack that level of discipline. My eyes narrowed. Would you do that? Somberly. Joey nodded. Of course. Don't doubt my feeling of responsibility. Sign the contract if this family is important to you. And it's best for you, too. I laughed. In what way is any of this beneficial to me? It was disguised as a sacrifice and was blackmail. Joey answered. You have cancer. Think about it. I'll still be there to care for you, but if the therapy doesn't work, your parents, who are your only family, will need someone to take care of them. I'll take on that duty and be there for them. I gave him a hard look. I thought he would look after my parents, this man who had just attempted to leave his wife. His eyes were on the inheritance. Mary jumped right in. Yes, you can't always think about yourself. When someone is dying, their comments should be gentle. You should think of your parents, your family, and us. Don't be so selfish. To be honest, I'd always respected Mary, but since we were done acting, I didn't bother to spare her feelings. Is it selfish to want to live? Angrily, Joey shot back. It is, of course. I will have to spend the rest of my life repaying that debt if you waste all of our money on some miraculous cure and then pass away nonetheless. What about me? I am still a youthful person. I stared blankly at him for a long time. That's when it struck me. When a person's love dies, everything about them becomes intolerable. I assumed that Joey's previous yelling when he became aroused was just his personality. Well-intentioned but noisy. I made a mistake. Now I was just disgusted. Forget the deal, I said. Let's simply get divorced. He nodded without hesitation and produced a prepared divorce document. I wasn't shocked. He had been preparing for this. How long had they been talking about it? The language was frank. The house is his. We divide the savings and take our possessions. The house was purchased by my family, so even though your name is on it, I paid for everything, and I'm not scared to take it to court, he added. This is the fairest way to handle it. Joey laughed and said, yes, you bought the house, but it was a bare-bones property. I paid for the renovations, $15,000 of them. You'll have to reimburse me. For $50,000? You didn't even account for depreciation, which is absurd. Mary interrupted him with a stiff elbow before he could finish, then gave me a dramatic shrug and smirked. Well, go ahead and take the renovation with you. I never liked it anyway. I drew in a slow, stunned breath, wondering how this family could get any worse, but there they were, telling me to tear down the renovation like I could pull a curtain off the wall. Brad and Joey, who were slower to pick up on Mary's angle, blinked and asked, why would she do that? We're getting along quite well here. She's the one with cancer now, and she'll be pinching her pennies. Do you think she's going to spend thousands of dollars paying a team to rip it all out? Brad immediately understood. Mary rolled her eyes. Let her. He looked at me and nodded. Okay, go ahead. If you truly believe it's worth it, tear it out. I turned to Joey and said in a low voice, so, this is your family's final choice. After he paused, he said, I have faith in my mother. The house's cost was borne by them. I chuckled wearily and bitterly, marrying you was the biggest mistake of my life. He yelled, you think you're perfect? You're no saint either? I looked at him and thought, if you had gotten sick, I would have begged, borrowed, or whatever it took. Don't act like you're doing all of this out of pure love. What you want is for us to sacrifice our lives for your illness. In the best case. Scenario, you drag it out for a few more miserable years. In the worst case, I would have saved you. He shot back, his voice rising. Quit bringing up hypothetical issues. My parents put a lot of effort into raising me. Why should I bring them down for you? Am I now expected to quit being a decent son? When I looked at him, all I saw was a joke, and I no longer believed a word of it. A guy might forsake his parents in this way, and he might do the same to his naive wife. Just give it some time. Hello, I need you to come by, I said as I picked up my phone and contacted the contractor, whose number I had saved because I had originally engaged them for the makeover. I want my house's whole remodeling to be removed. All of it. Immediately, the room changed. Brad jumped up, terrified. You're doing it? You're crazy? His arm was taken by Mary. Do not panic. She is playing a bluff. All she's attempting to do is frighten us. Brad, however, wasn't convinced. He looked at Joey, perspiring. Speak with her. Where are we going to live if she truly rips it all apart? Joey looked downcast and pitiful at me. You're not even going to give me this final present. I was almost sickened by that line. I retorted, you only receive what I provide. If I decline, you receive nothing at all. A deep sigh eventually escaped his lips. You're the same person. Impulsively acting. You need money the most right now. And just to be mean to me, you'd rather burn it all down than use intelligent reasoning. Should you not be so? We wouldn't be divorcing because we're selfish. I shook my head and stated icily, don't even try to spin this. I've got enough to deal with. I'm not carrying your shame on my back. Mary's jaw was clenched in anger. I understand exactly why you're attempting to steal that $50,000. Do you believe we're not smart? You invite the crew over and make threats to destroy the establishment. Joey appeared surprised when you said, want to keep the renovation? Pay me. That's your game, isn't it? When they arrived. Mom, is that correct? Do you truly believe she's doing that? Mary snorted. Naturally, she is. You know she's smart. She's simply working against us with all that cunning. Joey's calm started to waver. He looked at me in desperation. How could you be so mean? We were once in love. I don't mean to leave you. All I wanted was a typical, contented life. Is that incorrect? Mary raised her hands. Put an end to your discussion of love. Her main concern is herself. Simply ask her how much she would want to spend on the renovations anyway, it's old. We will offer no more than $20,000. I shook my head. Not being sold. Since you indicated I could handle it, I will. Mary yelled. Are you saying that you're not selling? You simply believe that the offer is too low. So tell me, what is your desired amount? You want a number? I asked after taking a deep breath. All right, 50,000. Brad lost it. Do you have a breakdown? The entire makeover was completed years ago and cost $50,000. It is put to use. It is worn out. You consider us total fools. Joey raised his voice. As he gazed at me. You know what? I was beginning to have some guilt. I now realize, however, that I was correct to divorce you. Even if this is only the beginning, you are already attempting to coerce my family. What if our marriage had remained intact? We would be drained by you. I answered icily. Something has come to me. I never should have given your family a cent. I want every penny I spent on this house returned. In panic, Brad turned to face Mary. Now what do we do? She will lose it. Not even a place to sleep will be available to us tonight. Mary's face became gloomy. Her tone was abrasive and intimidating. Now go ahead and rip it out. Let me clarify, though. You won't be able to touch even one screw. Take one whiff from me. I began gathering my belongings, ignoring her threats. Joey should get ready, I said. We would be going to court to submit the divorce paperwork. Believing I was bluffing, Mary continued to chatter behind me. As loudly as she could, she clattered plates and hissed. It's no wonder you got cancer. Being such a horrible, bitter woman is karma. God is not a misser. I gave a calm response. I would rather be myself than a man who deserts his ailing wife, regardless of what you say. She gave a sour laugh. Why are you the target of God's wrath if that is the case? My son is going to live a long time. You are about to die. I let out a long sigh. You wouldn't have a long life, her son. Should Joey had been honest about the sleeping tablets, he would have passed away long before I did. If he did indeed consume that bottle as he said he would, I would have to apologize to him for my mistrust. He was, I must say, a man of his word, truthful in his manner. If not, however, he was a hypocrite, a coward, and a liar. The doorbell abruptly rang. I pulled it open. The remodeling staff had shown up. Behind him, a somewhat bewildered foreman stood at the entryway workers. Ma'am, is there a problem with the remodeling we completed? What's causing us to tear it out? I responded impassively. It's all right. I simply wanted to go. Mary sat at the dining table and laughed theatrically. Are you still acting? Feel free to destroy it all. I ask you. To take a look around, the foreman entered. Mary, meanwhile, calmly brewed a cup of tea. For herself. When he turned to face me, he said, if you're serious, it'll cost around $3,000 to remove all of this. Mary sipped her tea slowly before responding. $300? That should be sufficient to receive a complete scan at the hospital. Can you afford to waste so much money? Like a coward, Joey remained in hiding behind her, letting her take care of everything. I saw a sneer on his face. Mary remarked, you know what? We've lived together for years, as she gingerly set down her teacup. Before she could continue, I went to the foreman and said, let's not make this unpleasant. I'll make you an offer. Do it. Start now. I've got divorce paperwork to file later. He was unsure. Are you sure? This contract must be signed by you first. I reached for a pen and signed it without blinking. Mary scoffed sarcastically. Still acting? All right, so here's the deal, $2,000. That's our last chance. Don't try your luck. I looked at the foreman. Why are you still standing there? He grasped it instantly and lifted the sledgehammer. Mary was frightened. I told you. The second you swing, you'll get nothing from me. At that point, I could either burn it all down and leave Joey with nothing, not even a roof over his head, or I could take the $20,000 and walk away, calling it a lesson learned. Money may be earned again, but certain anger and treachery will rot you from the inside out if you don't let go of them. That's why I went with option number 2. I muttered, mash up. The foreman lifted the sledgehammer and smashed it into the wall with a loud crack. Mary screamed and scurried toward the hole in the wall, shouting like a banshee, stop, you crazy witch. You're dying and still trying to drag us down with you. Is that what you want? Mutual destruction. The hole opened in the wall with a thunderous crack. Her pride had vanished, and she was now tearing at the wall like a woman lamenting a lost lover, hammering her fists against the plaster in desperation. The foreman turned to me, a little shaken, and I asked, there are 6 of you. What do you want us to do next, ma'am? He understood right away, and he also knew that I was the one who had paid for everything, so he turned back to his crew and nodded sharply. In a matter of seconds, the house was filled with the sound of demolition, with ceiling tiles falling, drywall breaking, and floors cracking. You're insane, Joey mumbled. Even if you begged me on your knees to take you back, I wouldn't spend another day with you. The bathroom was not exempt either, and he stood motionless in the middle of it all, watching the devastation spread. In shock. The workmen were being yelled at to stop by Brad and Mary, who were now racing around the home like headless chickens in an attempt to block them. They couldn't stop it, though, since there were too many, too fast, and too focused. I turned to Joey and smiled calmly, saying, well, I guess that makes the divorce official, doesn't it? Let's head to the courthouse. Mary gave a guttural scream. Divorce her, please. Divorce her immediately. I don't want this lunatic to spend even one more night in the same house. Joey inhaled deeply, then tightened his jaw. Okay, Scope. I looked at him, calm as ever, and I could have told him then, right then, that he was the one who was sick, that he had cancer, and oh, how satisfying it would have been to watch his face twist with fear, but I wasn't stupid. I knew Mary too well. Mark my words, you dare not crawl back to me when you're sick and broken. If I told them now, she would delay the divorce, take advantage of the diagnosis, play the poor son needs treatment card, and begin taking out loans. One after another using my name and resources, burying me in debt. Under the law, both spouses are responsible for paying for medical bills, and if the divorce wasn't finalized, any debt they accrued could come back to haunt me. We went straight to family court, filed the paperwork, and within weeks it was approved. Leaving only the official decree. I may have married the wrong man, but I wasn't going to die a fool. If I revealed the truth too soon, they would suck me dry like leeches in the name of healthcare. So, no, I kept quiet. He took it from the clerk and waved it at me smugly. From this day on, he growled, even if you're on your deathbed, it's not my problem. And then, at last, the day arrived. I left the courthouse with the last divorce papers in my hand, and Joey was waiting to get his copy. He started to walk away, but I told him to wait because I had something for him. He paused, half annoyed and half suspicious. What now? What type of act are you attempting to perform? I smiled as I reached into my purse and carefully took out a sealed manila folder. Your divorce gift, I said, and he grabbed it out of my hand and opened it, obviously anticipating some small-minded remark. However, after reading only a few lines, his smug face froze in mid-blink. He began to shake his hand. What is this? I smiled pleasantly, like I was giving a wedding invitation, as his voice cracked dry as dust. Your official lab report. You never returned for your test results, so I picked them up for you. I took a careful step back and watched him like a freshly skinned wild beast. The doctor remarked, "You're insane. This can't be." His voice quivers. You said it was you who. Diagnosis, early stage liver cancer. He looked like a man who had just lost the power to speak, and his eyes widened, his mouth opened, but no sound came out, and I leaned in just a little, my voice firm and soothing. When did I ever say I was the one who was ill? You've been complaining about fatigue for weeks, so I was the first to pick up that report the day you were diagnosed. I was concerned, but I knew you would panic if I told you I suspected something was wrong, so I asked you to accompany me to get my health checked, and you thought you were there for me, but I made sure you got tested. I grinned broadly as Joey threw the report to the ground, saying, "You knew this whole time. You played me for a whole damn month." His anger just softened the truth. Fake? Mary had been waiting in the car, but she hurried over when she saw Joey spiraling out. Weren't you the one who said that if you ever got cancer, you'd rather swallow a bottle of sleeping pills than burden anyone? So what now? Changed your mind about the pharmacy? He screamed like a wounded animal and began stomping on the report as if he could crush the word cancer right out of existence. I grabbed it back without flinching, saying, "Don't bother, because a copy was already in your inbox and none of you cowards would ever read my communications." Her face became as white as chalk after just one look at the report. "You're a monster." Mary heaved, her makeup crumbling, powder dropping down her cheeks like ash. "You've been too busy hiding, and the divorce is finalized, so if you were thinking of pinning any medical bills on me, too late. Relax, it's your turn now. He was your spouse. You're simply going to let him die." I laughed icily. "Weren't you the one who watched me die and attempted to coerce me into signing away my rights and property? You're ice cold. Are you even human?" I answered, "I don't need your validation to know who I am." Joey muttered through gritted teeth, his voice like venom. "But you are a cancer patient, confirmed by a licensed physician. You broke them completely. You have no idea what this is. We escaped from you and you." His voice trembled. "You sat on this report, calculatingly watching us come apart." I raised an eyebrow. "The month was like for me. I've been sleeping on a damn sofa in another state because Mom thought you might change your mind. I simply supported your noble little dream." A twisted smile came across his lips. "You didn't do this for dignity. You're just frightened of being accountable for my treatment. You didn't walk out for me. You're the one who said you'd keep your diagnosis to yourself and die with dignity. You're a damn viper. You ran to defend your bank account. You're proud." "Thank you," I said, smiling slightly. "I'm glad your family taught me how to attack. One bite at a time." Mary finally lost it. "What are you looking for? Is that what this is about? You want money? Okay, set your price." I stuffed my hands in my coat pockets and looked down at her. "You're late, you want to negotiate, Joey loses it all at once, and you think you've won? Do you believe this gives you power? You're still just a weak, unloved woman." I stared him in the eyes, and I felt no animosity, only a cold, ruthless clarity. "You're right," I replied, "because dying alone is still better than dying another day married to you." His eyes were bloodshot. "You'll die alone, and no one will cry at your funeral." "Then you better hurry up," I said, each word like a razor. "Because the longer you wait, the less chance you have of surviving." I didn't even blink. "If I die, I'll come back and torment you. You'll regret this for the rest of your wretched life." That silenced him. They weren't worth it, so I took the report, swung my bag over my shoulder, and went past them without hesitation or regret. I heard Mary's terrified screams behind me, and Joey kicking over a garbage can and howling like a savage beast. My back was all they deserved in the aftermath of their devastation. After the day, I dropped the diagnosis like a bomb, and Joey vanished. No messages, no calls, but I knew they wouldn't remain silent for long, because a week later, a mutual acquaintance contacted my mother. "Joey's in the hospital, did you hear?" My mother turned to face me, her face unreadable, and I nodded calmly, knowing that something was wrong with him. "It's not just something," the person hissed into the receiver. My mom scowled. "And what about his family?" The caller laughed dryly. "It's aggressive liver cancer. They say it's already spread. Chemotherapy might not even work at this stage." Running a crowdsourcing campaign on Facebook, Mary stated, "My daughter-in-law ran off. It's callous of my ex-daughter-in-law." And uploaded a picture of Joey in the hospital after 4 days. Caption: "In the sake of humanity, please assist this sad young man. After hanging, the lady has no shame." I couldn't help but laugh. Didn't she say I deserved to get sick? Now she's begging for money. Mary's fundraising page was incredibly dramatic. My mom threw her phone onto the coffee table. Despite the banner's carefully filtered image of Joey lying in a hospital bed with Her eyes closed, akin to a heartbreaking music video. The headlines cried out, "Young and promising son abandoned by cruel ex-wife. Please support our cancer fight." The comments were terrible, and many of them were from people who were genuinely aware of what had occurred. "Remember how your son treated Anna before he became ill? Who attempted to make her sign away everything when she wasn't ill? You want sympathy now? What goes around comes around. Perhaps ask Joey's friends for assistance." "Oh, right. He doesn't have any." Mary tried to disable comments, created a burner account to make her case, and even paid someone to spin the story, but it didn't work out. Within days, people exposed her for submitting a phony income statement, and the platform froze her campaign. Meanwhile, Joey had been admitted to the main medical center. Mary began making frantic phone calls to old friends, extended family, and neighbors, crying, begging, and pleading, but her years of conceit had burned too many people. The attending physician was blunt, and they could only keep him comfortable. On morphine without immediate treatment. Bridges. Everyone recalled how she used to sneer at them. Some hung up the moment they heard her voice, while others left voice notes in the group chat. Mary used to roll her eyes simply by being in our presence, and now that her son is ill, she is asking for our assistance. Continue to dream. According to rumors, Brad broke down one day outside the hospital when Mary was yelling at him once more, urging him to take out a loan and threatening to watch their son suffer in agony if they didn't act quickly. Brad remained silent for a while before he slowly asked, "Why did you make Anna sign that agreement back then? Remember how you had her give up her treatment waiver inheritance rights when we suspected she had cancer? She wouldn't last 6 months, you were certain." "What agreement?" Mary froze. "The one you thrust into her face when she was barely able to survive." "Don't act stupid," he said in a stern voice. "I'm not sure if my son will die, but I do know one thing. You're a toxic woman." Then he left, leaving Mary sitting by herself on a bench in the hospital hallway, lifeless and limp like a discarded cloth. Not that Mary hadn't gotten back to me. She made several calls to me. She maintained appearances initially. Although we had our disagreements and she got off to a good start, "Joey needs some assistance right now." As calm as ever, I answered. "Now I'm simply an outsider." Her voice changed. In a flash. "You are callous, he was your spouse." My smile came. "Excuse me, ex-husband." That was the final straw for her. "What's coming to you will come to you. I believe that karma has arrived on time." There was a pause before she slammed the phone down. "You said it yourself. God sees everything." He saw. "Enough," I added. Her number was not silenced or blocked by me. She eventually mortgaged the house in an attempt to pay for Joey's treatment, but I heard that no one would lend money to an unemployed woman with a frozen credit score and a fraud report against her name. No, I wanted her to know. Every time she tried to contact me for help and was unsuccessful, every time she reached a dead end, I wanted her to feel it. She went to loan sharks and was conned, no money, just threats and an introduction fee, and then, amazingly, she appeared at my mom's house, waiting outside the old house, like some ghost from the past, ambushing my mother as she was leaving for work, pleading with tears in her eyes. He added, "You can't just watch this happen. We used to be family." My mother didn't even slow down. "Did it ever occur to you that we were family back when you told my daughter she deserved cancer?" Was when Mary discovered what it was like to be isolated, the 3 things she had once depended on, her pride, her social circle, and her family ties, had all fallen apart, and Joey was running out of time. A hospital nurse in training gave me the last update, saying, "He was lying there crying, kept whispering, 'My wife is so cruel. She's allowing me to perish.' It wasn't my intention." I simply replied softly. "He now at last comprehends what it's like to be abandoned." I relocated to a different city, changed my identity, and rented a modest flat with a sunny balcony. A few months later, I brewed a cup of black coffee every morning at 7:30, sat outside with the paper, and listened to the bustle of the city while planning my day and soaking up the sun. My new neighbors were 2 retired sisters who spent their days crafting and playing 80s hits. They never inquired about my past or worried about whether I had recently gotten divorced, and I loved the comfort of being invisible. I was over being treated like a sacrifice. After 2 weeks, I finally organized everything from my previous life with Joey, including the wedding album, anniversary presents, and family vacation pictures. I packed them all up and sent them to Mary without a note or return. I wasn't trying to harm them, I just didn't want a single hair of theirs remaining in my life. Real retribution isn't about reprisal. It's about extraction. Address. I didn't care if she kept them, burned them, or wept over them. I did hear a little more about Joey later. The crowdfunding campaign was a complete failure. Mary was so dragged online that she dared not create another page. Brad, fed up, moved in with his sister after multiple arguments with her, and Joey ended up in the county hospital's general ward, uninsured. I kept a copy with my lawyer in case they ever tried to sue me for abandonment or accuse me of financial fraud, because that letter would prove everything. I was told that he even attempted to write me a letter pleading with me to come back for the sake of what we once had, but I refused delivery and didn't even open it. He came stumbling in, and I had every reason to say no because he didn't deserve it. I didn't feel guilty at all because I knew that if he had been the one to discover that test result first, he wouldn't have thought twice about putting me in my own coffin. Instead, I waited until the marriage ended, the house was demolished, and he had embarrassed himself and everyone around him. When I finally told him the truth, I was being merciful. I was once asked, "Did you ever fully let go?" I stated, "I put it down. I didn't release it." I had carried that marriage, that home, that rotting, lying on my back, step by painful step, believing I had no choice. Until the day I realized that it wasn't that I couldn't carry it, but rather that I shouldn't have to. I now go to support groups occasionally, mostly to share rather than to find healing. One young woman sobbed, "My ex stole my car," at one meeting. "I'm still covering his expenses. How I ever married him is beyond me." With a smile, I gave her a tissue. "Because he never demonstrated that he was deserving of your belief in others." "Are you ever going to forgive him?" she inquired. I considered it. "No," I answered. "But I won't waste any more time hating him either." "So, what did you end up with?" I grinned. I understood. Furthermore, I understood then that I'm not most proud of how well I retaliated. That my respect for myself remained constant throughout. The sun was shining that day. While I was leaving, I only once passed the Live for Yourself sidewalk exhibit. Throughout the meeting, I received a tiny card from a volunteer. "I am gathering authentic stories," she stated. "Would you like to help?" I read the prompt and accepted it. "Let us know when you eventually declared enough." After grinning, I scribbled on the other side of the card. Once they gave me the knife to cut myself, but I sliced them with it instead.